Yes, the World Health Organization, WHO, declared the Ebola outbreak in the DRC on Friday, May the 12th, after 11 suspected cases, including 3 deaths, were reported in the country's northeast.
Now, the organization quickly mobilized technical experts for deployment to Congo, adding that it would also provide leadership expertise to attain coordinated and effective response. Now, Nigeria says it is not taking chances, as Health Minister Isaac Adewale revealed the federal government is doing everything within its powers to ensure the Ebola virus disease is not imported into the country.
An inspection of thermal screening machines at all the international airports in the country was carried out after the World Health Organization announced an outbreak of the disease in the DR Congo. Now, these authorities say is part of measures the country is employing to step up surveillance in detecting fever of any kind. After the 2014 outbreak, measures adopted to curtail the dreaded virus remain very much in place and have been fortified.
All right, we're joined now by medical doctor Olalekan Makinde. Good morning. It's good to have you join us right now.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you.
You know, the Africans or human beings are very mobile in nature. And we know that Nigeria, even though has been commended the way it tackled or handled Ebola when they had it a few years ago, but now with the outbreak in DRC, what kind of precautionary measures really should Nigerians take?
For Nigerians, we already know how Ebola is transmitted. So at this moment, it's basically hygiene. We have to maintain our hygiene level as people. I remember when the Ebola outbreak started in 2014, everybody started washing their hands. But today, I think most people have stopped that. Then sanitizer was being sold everywhere. Everybody has sanitizer in their bag. But today, I'm not sure if anybody have.
We don't even see those anymore.
Yeah, and all that. So those are the things that we need to do. Hygiene. We know how it is transmitted. So once we have that, done, then we're a bit safe. And now, maybe for the first time, I'm a bit impressed with the way we have reacted to the outbreak by starting our screening at the airport. If we've done that in 2014, maybe we have not had a case in Nigeria. But let me sound some note of warning, because we're talking about screening people at the airport. What about the land borders? And that's one thing we need to look at. We have a lot of porous land border. We are very lucky the last time the person came in through the airport. But this time, somebody might just come through the land border. So all the states that have borders with other nations of Africa have to be very careful, and they have to be watchful. And so there must be active surveillance. We must be looking out for these things. And this is the time that everybody needs to know that Ebola is here again. So don't think that every fever is malaria and start doing self-medication. So and I want to also say that the Ministry of Health has to be more proactive also. And the last screening, I was personally part of the last screening at the airport. Okay. And one of the things I want to mention is the fact that the workers were disenfranchised. They were not paid. They were not motivated for a long time. So this time around,
when you say the workers, which workers now?
Yeah,
the health workers? Or?
Yes, the health workers. Okay. I remember I was part of that exercise, and I know for a long time the health workers were there screening people, and they were not paid for months.
But the health workers at that time, were they recruited by the government at the time, or it was voluntary service?
No, they were recruited for the exercise. Okay. You know, it was an emergency service, so we had everybody coming on board. So at that time, I was at the resident Lagos University Teaching Hospital, so I was also recruited to the place. And many people came in and they were recruited, and this was supposed to be paid to them. And the health workers were recruited, and they had this and this was to be paid to them. But for a long time, they were not.
Okay, let me take you back to what you said earlier, that you were impressed that screening and surveillance is, has started again at the airports. And of course, you've pointed at the fact that the land borders are really, really porous. But should we have stopped the surveillance in the first place? I mean, you talk about the health workers who were drafted to the airports to, specifically for the Ebola outbreak. Should that have stopped?
When there was no more reported outbreak, when you have all the resources in the world, you have limited resources. So we could stop, because by then we had no case. But now the thing is starting again. So we are not run by removing them or stopping them then, but now we're doing the screening, and this is good. If you can if you have been reacting to things like this, then we are getting there.
That's the point, reactionary and not being more proactive. I mean, one would have imagined that the surveillance would be part of the system that is in place to ensure
Yeah, no, there are
that,
different kinds of
such-
surveillance in public health.
Okay.
Okay, so it's not every time you want to do an active surveillance. You don't have all the resources for that. There are other
okay.
kinds of, you can have a passive surveillance, you can have setting surveillance. So maybe that could have been going on, you will not know. But now that we have an outbreak, there have to be an active surveillance.
Now, you said earlier that you are sure that many Nigerians know how to contract the disease, but you'd be surprised, not many. Not that as many
In
as
fact,
one
for
would
those,
imagine.
for those who knew had forgotten.
Exactly. So maybe
what
you
the
want
thing
to...
is, except for those who are
yes.
medical, into those of you who are really active, and then for maybe a few others who have interactions with each other,
Yeah.
those in the medical profession.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe you should, talk us through what exactly this Ebola virus, EVD, what a name.
No, we know that Ebola virus is
Yes.
an hemorrhagic fever. And we know that it was transmitted from animal to man, which called it zoonosis. Okay, the major organism that was implicated was the fruit bat, and the other animals in the wild like chimpanzee, monkey, and all that. So that's why initially then people were asked not to have contact with bushmeat and all that. So there's animal to animal transmission, and then there's animal to man transmission. So
And then
when
man to man again.
Then man to man. So when somebody have a contact with an infected animal who are the natural carrier of the virus, then it's transmitted to man. Then a man give it to another man, and then it keep on being transmitted like that. So it's transmitted by contact. The glands in the body, sweat, blood, and all that has the virus. Somebody is affected. So when somebody else had a contact with somebody else, sweat, blood, saliva, on other body secretions, semen, then they can get the virus from the second person. That's why then one of the things that was advised is minimal contact. Then people stop shaking hands and all that.
Yeah, it's okay. Let's come back to dwell more on this so we can remind the people what all of these things are so they can help to take precautionary on their own. We'll come back to this. Let's go out on TVC Entertainment. For viewers there can continue with the breakfast program on DSTV channel 418, Go TV channel 45.
Also, Free TV 701, Star Sat 270, and Star Times 307. Stay with us.
But let's get back into our discussion now. We've been talking about precautionary measures taken by Nigeria when it's been discovered that there's outbreak of Ebola in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And we have with us in the studio Dr. Olaleko Makinde. He was one of the medical workers in Nigeria that helped to tackle the Ebola when it broke out in 2015 in Nigeria. And we've been talking about this. Now, Nigeria's experience with the Ebola virus disease started in 2014 when the Liberian-American Patrick Sawyer, who had the disease, flew from Liberia to the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos and opened up a chain of transmission before his death 5 days later. He was identified as the index case.
Nigeria was praised for its handling of the disease, which caused about 4,500 deaths across West Africa. Nigeria was able to curtail the disease because of an immediate response by affected state governments and the federal government, who traced and placed all of Sawyer's contacts for signs of infection and increased surveillance at all entry points to the country. The WHO, United States Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, Médecins Sans Frontières, UNICEF and other partners also supported the Nigerian government with expertise for outbreak investigation, risk assessment, contact tracing and clinical care.
Now, Nigeria was subsequently declared Ebola-free by the World Health Organization in October 2014. But although Ebola represents a major public health issue in Central Africa, no cases had ever been reported in West Africa until 2013, when an infected 2-year-old boy died in Guinea and started the transmission of the disease, making West Africa experience the deadliest occurrence of the disease since its discovery in 1976.
Of course, that explains the panic right now. Of course, the health minister has said, don't go into panic mode, Nigerians. Now, the disease then, of course, spread to neighboring countries of Liberia, Sierra Leone, with smaller outbreaks occurring in Nigeria, Senegal and Mali. The disease has a high risk of death, killing between 25 and 90% of those infected. There were more than 28,000 confirmed, probable and suspected cases in West Africa at the time, and some 11,300 people died. More than 800 healthcare workers were infected, and of those, more than 500 died.
And now the signs and symptoms typically start between 2 days and 3 weeks after contracting the virus, with fever, sore throat, muscle pain, headaches, then vomiting, diarrhea, rash, along with the decreased function of the liver and kidneys. At this time, some people begin to bleed both internally and externally. Those are some of the symptoms you might get to see. Yes. But we were talking about all of these symptoms because we know that, although you said earlier that Nigerians are aware, but a lot of people would have forgotten, especially when it comes to the issue of hand sanitizers. That time we knew how very popular hand sanitizers were, even in schools, in elementary schools. But after that, everything has gone away. But let's get to this issue now, tackling the issue of Ebola headlong. Nigeria has been commended on how we handled Ebola without any help, if I have to put it in parentheses. What can Nigeria do to help Congo in this regard?
Well, Nigeria will help Congo. We did actually the last time. People were volunteered and went there when they needed people to work. But also, as we are helping Congo, we must be helping ourselves. One thing we can do, because some of those countries, they don't have a lot of health workers. So sometimes we have people from here that can go there to help them. And in case management, in contact tracing, these are the things that have to be done, and in containing the disease. Because actually, if we are part of helping Congo, we are helping ourselves. Because if the outbreak in Congo is contained, then our risk is reduced. So everybody helping Congo now is helping themselves, even the America or anywhere, because people move from one place to the other. And as we're doing that, we can be able to be of help to even every African country.
Absolutely. Now, would you say that we have actually learned any lessons in terms of being better informed with Ebola outbreak in such a way that it will help Nigeria at this time?
Yeah, I think we've learned, but I was going to put the lessons into play. Those are the things we should be asking ourselves. Because what we had last time, the truth is this, there was a bit of luck on our side. We didn't do everything perfectly. I can tell you that with all sincerity. Those days we had people at the airport, for instance. We're supposed to have people that will screen the health workers, but there are supposed to be doctors on ground in case somebody is suspected. They're supposed to be manage the people. And I remember for a long time, we didn't have anything to work with. We were just there, and the things were not supplied.
So we still have gaps that need to be closed. Okay, at this point, let's bring in Foladele. I'm sure she has a lot on what Nigerians are saying about this. Well, unfortunately, let us outbreak in the DRC. Fola, morning to you.
Good morning, Ngozi. Good morning, Mike.
Don't be so depressed.
Yeah, no, I'm depressed about that, but it's nice to know that we're taking precautionary steps because, I mean, as you know, we're very lastminute.com in Nigeria, so this is good news, I would say.
But the point there is, Dr. Alikon is saying that, well, helping Congo would mean helping ourselves.
Yes.
And not just about that. There are other countries around there that are even closer to Congo. Kenya is there, even South Africa. Whatever they do will go a long way in helping.
Yes. Absolutely. Okay, well, let's see what people are saying online as well. Kate Takapanja says Nigeria is just trying to recover from economic recession and depression. The last thing we need right now is another Ebola outbreak. Rebecca E. Roberts says, to be on the safer side, Ebola screening should also be done at all Nigeria's land borders. But Nigeria says it looks like we're better prepared for Ebola this time around as the FAAN steps up surveillance at airports. Empress Nigeria says, now that Ebola is in Congo, let's bring back our prayer points. Every spirit of Ebola die by fire.
Amen.
Amen. Abiola GGG says, Nigeria cannot cope with Ebola this time at all. All other disease reports since last year are still very much around.
Yeah.
And the last one here from Ayodele Okunfolami says, we're closing our borders against Ebola, but did all to spread meningitis. I see that sounds like buying made in Nigeria products. Okay, so I don't quite get the last one. But let's focus
to make sense of
it. Please, let's focus just on the first one. But Dr. Laliko, let's talk about how we've handled meningitis versus how we're handling, how we're trying to prevent Ebola from coming back. I mean, like I said before, we're lastminute.com. Meningitis has even done. We know that we know when it comes around the year. We know when it's supposed to come, yet we leave it till last minute. Whereas with Ebola, we're being quick to take action. Why is that?
I think the truth is that in Nigeria, we have what we call the big men always do things for themselves. And that's the truth. Now, they look at Ebola, they can contact it easily. Their children can contact it. That's why I think we are more proactive with Ebola than we are with meningitis. So that's just the truth. Because
so it's just all about the elite.
Yes, it's about the elite. Because I was watching.
And we have talked
I was
about
watching the hearing in the Senate, and the man there he couldn't even hide it to say, I don't want this thing in Abuja. And that's what is the issue for him.
He's more concerned.
Yeah, he's concerned about himself more than
Nigeria.
every other person. This is this is what we have.
And the point about the elite thing was actually raised when we talked about airports and how quickly, you know, the airports.
Yeah, because they go to the
Exactly.
airport, but they're not bothered about the land borders, which is even more porous. So all the states, Ogun State, Niger, all those states, they have to take precaution because you are stopping at the airport, but your land border is porous.
Fola,
All right, Fola, we have to let you go here
so
now.
much.
Thank you very much.
Before we go on a quick break, I wanted to talk about training and equipment. That is definitely an area where we're really
I need to mention that we should not be doing this screenshot and all that, because you're putting people in the airport. They are screening people with fever. But do we have any other thing? If you have somebody that come in with suspected cases, do we have the doctors on ground? Do we have the equipment for them to? Let me just tell you an experience I had. When I was at the airport, there was a suspected case in a KLM flight, and I was called. I was a doctor, and everybody, doctor is there and everything. But I had nothing. I don't even have a glove to work with. And I was into the plane. I got into the plane. The pilot was talking to me and everybody. I was just I was just trying to be bold. But really, I couldn't touch the patient.
It was risky.
Yeah, because I had no PPE. So we need to have this in the hospital. We don't wait until when we have a case. The hospitals in Nigeria should start having a PPE now.
Airports.
It's the airport. And
Even
our
on the
people,
planes.
Yeah, it's on the plane. And our people should start to take precaution.
Okay, Dr. Olaliko Makinde, thank you very much for coming to enlighten us more on this. We'll keep enlightening and talking about this so that it can sink into everyone, especially when it comes to taking precaution. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
very
It's a pleasure.
much.
Thank you.
All right, let's go on a break and then we come back to dwell on other issue this morning. Stay with us on TVC Breakfast.